Lesson 6-2 talks about planning adjusting entries on a worksheet. So again, we're going to plan some adjustments, bring some accounts up to date, we'll put it in our journal and then post to our ledger. Sometimes a business will pay cash for an expense in one fiscal period, but the expense will not be used until the later period, and these are called prepaid expenses. The expense should be reported in the same fiscal period that it is used to produce the revenue. Example, a business may buy supplies in mass quantities in August, but some of the supplies may not be used until September or October. Only the amount of supplies used in August should be reported as an expense in August, and the rest will be reported later on. Reporting income when it's earned and expenses when they are incurred is called the accrual basis of accounting. Generally accepted accounting principles, GAAP, require the use of the accrual basis of accounting. Reporting income when the cash is received and expenses when the cash is paid is called cash basis of accounting. And again, we are going to use the accrual basis of accounting. Reporting income when it's earned and expenses when they incurred. In order to have accurate records, some general ledger accounts must be brought up to date at the end of the fiscal period. For example, each time supplies are bought, they are debited to the asset account supplies. This is the value until the supplies are used. The value of supplies that are used become an expense to the business. It's not practical to record this expense every time some supplies are used. For example, like if you buy a bunch of pens, pencils, paper, and all that, it's not practical every time you go use a pen from the supply closet that you record that in the journal. So that's why at the end of the fiscal period, we have to bring this account up to date to make sure all of the supplies are accounted for. At the end of the fiscal period, the value of the supplies used up, supplies expense, must be deducted from the supply account. Because if you remember now, we haven't even used supply expense yet. Same thing happens with insurance. Adjustments, a new term. These are changes recorded on a worksheet to update the general ledger accounts at the end of the fiscal period. The assets of the business, such as supplies and prepaid insurance, are used to earn revenue. The portion of the assets consumed or used up in order to earn this revenue are no longer assets and they become expenses to the business. Adjustments must be made to both the asset and the expense account. A worksheet is used to plan these adjustments, and changes are not made to the general ledger account until adjustments are journalized and posted. So again, we're going to organize them on the worksheet. Once everything is figured out on our worksheet, we will put it in our journal and then post it to make it a permanent part of our records. If you look at this worksheet that we prepared in last section, we found out our trial balance that our debits equal our credits in our general ledger. Okay, right now we can see that we have $620 in our supplies. Our supply expense on the other end has 0. And throughout the fiscal period, we used up some of our supplies in just running our business. And so we're going to bring this $620 up to date. So remember that number, $620 for our supplies. Supplies adjustments on a worksheet. On January 31st, Mr. Delgado counted the supplies on hand and found the value of supplies still unused on that date was $90. So he went in and counted the supplies, did an inventory, and found out that they have $90 of their supplies left. When you are planning an adjustment, there are 4 questions that you must ask. What is the balance of supplies? If you remember back from our worksheet, our balance of our supplies is $620. You can see right here, we have it. Okay, what should the account be? what should be done to correct the balance, and then what are the adjustments made? Those are the 4 questions you're going to ask. So let's go back to the beginning. What is the balance of the supplies? $620. What should the balance be? It should be $90 because that's what the inventory shows us. What must be done to correct this balance? We have to decrease our supplies by $530. 620 minus 90. We used up $530 worth of supplies to run our business this fiscal period. What adjustment has to be made? We're going to debit the expense and we're going to credit supplies. So if we credit supplies by $530, that's going to make it go down. So after our adjustment, you can see we are going to debit our supply expense for $530. We had 0 in there. Our supplies, you can see we have a balance of $630. We will credit it for $530. And our new balance would be $90, the actual amount of inventory that we have. Preparing our supply adjustment on our worksheet, we're going to use the adjustments column, which will be the second of the 8 columns that we have. We're going to write the debit amount of the adjustment. It goes to supply expense. We are going to write the credit amount into supplies. And we're going to label the 2 parts of the adjustments with the small letter A in parentheses. Okay, and you can see that there are little A's by each one. Later on, you will see how this comes in handy because when we journalize, the 2 little A's go together. And again, you can label it any way as long as you can identify them real easy. That's why they use the letter A. Make sure you put it in parentheses so it doesn't get confused with a number. Our second adjustment that we're going to make is prepaid insurance. And you can see that we have $900 in prepaid insurance and we have 0 in the expense. Just as a little review of our prepaid insurance, remember when we buy prepaid insurance, we pay for the next 3 months, it might be the next 6 months, it might be the next year. Every day that goes by, a little bit of our prepaid insurance expires. We use up a little insurance every day. It wouldn't be a lot of fun to journalize insurance expense every day. So what you're going to do is you're going to make an adjustment at the end of the fiscal period so it represents the true amount of your prepaid insurance. The adjustments you're making, the amount of insurance used up, is an expense to your business. So on January 31st, Mr. Delgado checked the insurance records and found the value of insurance premium was $750. You can see we started with $900 and now his insurance is worth $750. Again, we're going to ask the 4 questions. What's the balance of the prepaid insurance? What should the balance be? What must be done to correct it? And what adjustments are made? What's the balance of prepaid insurance? If you remember from our worksheet, we have $900 in our prepaid insurance. What should the balance be for this account? It should be $750 because that's what he found out from his insurance premium. What must be done to correct it? $900, it went down to $750, so we're going to decrease the amount of our prepaid insurance by $150. $900 minus $750. What adjustments is made? We're going to debit an expense and we have to credit our asset, prepaid insurance. Again, this is what it looks like before your adjustment is made. You can see 0 in our insurance and we have a $900 balance in our prepaid insurance. So our adjustment is we're going to debit $150 to our insurance expense and we will credit prepaid insurance. So when we figure out the balance here, we have a debit of $900, a credit of $150. Our new balance will be $750. Recording that in our journal, we'll write the debit amount in our adjustments. It's going to be to insurance expense. Our credit will go to, prepaid insurance. We're missing part of this slide, but go there. And then we will label each one with the letter B to show that that's our second adjustment. Proving the adjustments columns of the worksheets, you will rule a single line again, add both columns. When they balance out, you will double rule across those amount columns, those two amount columns. And now we have completed the first 4 columns of your 8-column worksheet.